Hi guys, I'm continuing the videos for functions. This video I'll be talking about explicit and implicit functions. But before I get to this, let me do a quick review of what we talked about. A function has an output, and the function processes the input and produces an output. A good example here is f of x equals x plus 1. X is the input, and we put 2 for the placeholder in f of x, and the output will be 2 plus 1 equals to 3, and y equals to 3 as an output. And the domain and range relationships are here. For y equals x squared function, our input or domain will be 2, and 2 goes through this process, which is the function, and then produces 4 because y equals x squared. Now let's take a look at the explicit and implicit functions. Explicit functions have a clear path from x input to y output. A good example is y equals x squared. For any x values, we can clearly find what y is by using the function. However, implicit functions are not so clear. For x values or any other value that we put in a function, it is not super clear on how we can find y. These are called implicit functions. I'd also like to talk about what I covered previously as a valid and invalid functions. As you recall, a valid function must have a clear representative from x to y for it to be a valid function. When we have the domain and range, each value in the domain must have a unique relationship with the range value. However, when we look at y equals 2x minus 2, this is our graph, and x and y intercepts are here. Basically, the xy coordinate serves us in the sense that x equals to input and y equals to output. So for any x values that we choose, the function processes that x and produces a y, and the matching numbers, all of the numbers combined, will create this line. Now this is a valid function. How about an invalid function? I'm not going to spend too much time here, but what I want to show you is this. When we have a domain and range, one of the cardinal rules for any value that we put in the domain as x cannot have two values that corresponds to y, the range, which is y. Now let's mark this as y1 and y2. So what do we mean by that? Let's look at our graph. Again, x equals to input and y equals to output. Now, this graph is y equals f of x. Now, let's take a look at this. This looks like x equals to 4. I'm going to draw a vertical dashed line for this value. For x equals to 4 value, it looks like we have two values. I'm going to choose a different color. For x equals to 4, it looks like we have two values that corresponds to the output. And this graph breaks this rule when it is 1 from the domain to many, which is the range. That is why this is an invalid function.